Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and some Arc Raiders news. As of today, as I make this video, we have the newest patch of 1.15 and some pretty interesting responses to it, as well as the future of the game with the next expedition being revealed and some, less positive response to that. Let's kick this video off by taking a look at 1.15 and what's going on. The new Shared Watch event is here. And until February 24th, you will earn merits in the new sort of progression track. You'll do so by destroying, assisting, and just damaging arc of any kind. So as you can see from this run that I did, where I took on multiple rocketeers, multiple bombardiers, bastions, leapers, and so on, I got a massive amount of XP, but I also got a ridiculous amount of progress for the Shared Watch, basically the entire first track. So you can get this done in just a few raids. And I mean, if you're in a low aggression lobby, it's going to be low aggression either way. But I have noticed players being very friendly while this event is launching in the first couple of days. So it's a cool thing to encourage. But in the patch, they say the Shared Watch is actually an annual holiday that reminds us of our true enemy. So this could be a yearly event around the start of February. Also with that, of course, is the return of the Cold Snap map condition, where, they received a good amount of criticism and they've responded by just bringing it back with some minor changes. This is only a good thing, as more variety for the game is good, and that map condition went down really well. As a quick reminder, it's basically just cold while you're outside, you have limited vision because of the fogginess, and if you're out in the cold long enough, you start to just lose health per second. You can obviously just heal through this, or go into any kind of indoor scenario, give it a bit, give your guy a chance to warm back up, and then you can continue on. As well as other methods to deal with it. There's also the return of candleberries, right? You can collect them, but they aren't tied to an event, track, or special purpose. They've also returned snowballs, so you can pick them up and throw them if you want. Bit of fun, but don't forget that the loot is actually increased on Cold Snap, so it's a great map condition for opening locked rooms and doing that kind of looting. For example, I found this key during my Cold Snap run, went up to the control tower, and got incredible loot. Just full on pulled a bobcat, level 3 venator, and a load of other good stuff. So it's a great map condition to open locked rooms. Here's an interesting one in regards to the changes in previous updates, like the last major patch, where things changed that were not in the patch notes, such as the fire rate accidental nerf, but importantly, the slower looting, because apparently there was a bug where we were all looting a bit faster than we should have been, then they've sort of returned it to what it should be. It feels a lot slower. They didn't mention that. So they acknowledged that that kind of feedback is actually appreciated, and they're going to try to do better in the future as they now go into a kind of live version of the game, compared to the fact that they've been developing the game for years without this kind of feedback. Now the patch did fix some little things, like swapping weapons more reliably and consistently, that weird bug where crafting would get cancelled sometimes when you're doing it. But the only real balance change that happened in this patch, to my surprise, was a nerf to the Trailblazer grenade. So it actually will deal more damage to the small enemies, but less damage to the bigger enemies like your leapers and bastions and the ones you'd actually use it for. So Trailblazer to blow up like a pop or a burner or something, no one's doing that. What we're using it for purely was leaper damage and bastion damage, bombardier damage. These were great because the burst was so high. With a single well-placed Trailblazer, you could one-shot a leaper. And for bastions, bombardiers, it's incredible burst, especially for bombardiers that you want to take out before they get going. I tested this today and found that a leaper with a well-placed Trailblazer twice didn't die. And then with an awkwardly placed kind of half hit, it still didn't die. Then I had to shoot it a good amount. So it was noticeable. In regards to Bastion Bombardiers, I threw a couple at a mid-progress one and it still did great damage, to be fair, spreading the damage across the limbs, which is where a lot of the value is. Same thing for the Bombardier. It's still going to be a top tier choice for dealing with those, outside of one-shotting them with a deadline mine. But where they were like the primo leaper killing option, you're going to need to bring two and be ready to shoot them from this point on. So that's the update. For the start of February, I think that's solid, but again, I would hope to see more balance changes for things like the skill tree and other stuff, but maybe we should be waiting for Expedition 2 and that major patch. So let's talk about that, because it's pretty controversial. Just a few days back, February 5th, they announced the expedition, which is happening on February 25th. So in regards to Shared Watch, you might be looking at things like, blueprint unlocks for a progression that's really easy. I should wait to do this for the expedition, then do it on the expedition with refresh, getting these blueprints and rewards then. They've been careful about this. Shared Watch ends in 13 days on February 24th, and so the next expedition is on the 25th. But that's just the sign up. The actual departure begins on March 1st. This time they're giving us more information ahead of time, which is good. Based on the feedback about the required stash value for the first expedition being too high, that requirement is now lower. It's 3 million coins in stash value. And you will again get 5 skill points for reaching that 3 million. So you will now get 1 more skill point for this expedition per 600k. Keep in mind, that's the combined value of the current coin stack you have. So I have 2.3 million right now, and then your stash value, which, you know, if you really want to check, you could manually click on every single one until eventually you choose sell and see what the value is. Just make sure you're at 3 million or higher. Now here's the real kicker. The catch-up mechanic. For the raiders who could not make enough coins during the first expedition, we are introducing a skill point catch-up system, so you can reclaim the skill points you missed. So not only is there a catch-up system, which kind of goes against the entire concept of the expedition in my opinion, that catch-up system's discounted heavily. So for this expedition, you will need to gather 300k stash value per skill point missing from the first expedition. So to make that clear, you can get 10 total points, right? If you've not got any from the expeditions. The first 5 will require 600k in value per point. The following 5 will require 300k per point. So initially you've got to meet that 3 million. Then after that, to get the next 5 points that you missed, you'll need another 1.5 million. Which is still overall less than the original expedition, which was 5 million. We'll talk about that, but just a little talk about the rewards. Permanent bonuses will be unlocked. So one of the rewards we had from the first expedition, of course, was the patchwork outfit, which is like a modified version of the tutorial outfit. I quite like it, but the color scheme's a bit, you know, rough, the weird blue sleeves and the gloves. They're going to give us more customization for this. They call it the patchwork outfit evolved. We'll also get new cosmetics for Scrappy and an indicator icon. Those are permanent. Also permanent is the permanent increase to the stash spaces, which is obviously nice. So we're going to get another 12 stash spaces. That's 24 total for Expedition 1 and 2. And then another 5 skill points, again permanent. 10 total if you did the original. This puts us at 85 total if you've done both. There is also the scaling benefits. These are consecutive expeditions. So if you did Expedition 1, you're going to get these again, but they're going to get stronger. So the XP boost you have in general goes from 5% to 10%. Double the scrappy material boost to 12%. And that 10% increase to repair value, so even better repairing. We get a little look at this mini roadmap for the expeditions and see the third one with, you know, more to come in the future. This has been met with quite a mixed response. Some people are thrilled to be able to catch up on the last expedition skill points and that it's a lot easier to do. But there's a lot of people that are upset by this. They put in all this time and effort to meet this ridiculous requirement that wasn't fun, that they made us do. And now we're finding out we never had to do that and it would have been a lot easier now. And with this logic, it is somewhat incentivizing missing the expeditions and missing seasons because you'll be rewarded for doing so. Which again goes into that ridiculous concept that they had with the first expedition, engage with less of the game to get the rewards. And so that brings me to this article about the fact that Arc Raiders had a lot of criticism in regards to the choices they're making. So Soderlund, the CEO of the game, was talking about the concerns people were having after they revealed the new roadmap. In an interview with IGN then, he was talking about these frustrations, saying that if we get into the studio development schedule and make that public, probably going to be in a world of hurt. He emphasized that players don't have the full picture of what they're doing, but they still want to remain transparent as much as possible. He said that from the beginning of January, everyone was back and we've been working around the clock to deliver as much as we can. In that interview, Soderlund did talk about the positivity of, well, how successful the game has been. And with all the money that it's generated, they've got serious financial security for the game. And importantly, their employees and their stability. They've even expanded the studio. They're hiring a lot more people because they want to build Arc Raiders. So that's obviously positive for us long term. And with things like the return of, Cold Snap, that's great, bit more variety. Why even remove it, honestly? But with things like the whole data mine, the toxic swamp, and kind of hoping for more balance changes, at this point, I definitely did expect not necessarily new content, new maps, or anything crazy like that, but a lot more reworking of what's there in between the time that they're actually developing new content. Either way, they clearly believe that special map events such as Cold Snap or maybe whatever Toxic Swamp turns out to be shouldn't be something that's available all the time. Soderlund said that sometimes they might let them stay for longer, maybe even run multiple in parallel. But they believe it creates tension in that not everything is available at all times. But we can expect changes to the map conditions as we know them. because while new ones are in development, previous ones could return with new twists, which is a good way to do it, because hopefully that doesn't take as much development time as creating something completely new. Anyway, let's end this off with a pretty positive note. As Nexon, the publisher of Arc Raiders, embark, they recently talked publicly about how insanely popular and successful it's been, with over 12 million players playing it total, and it remains surprisingly stable in terms of player base even now. You know, you're at Steam, over 200k playing at any one time is ridiculous so long after launch for any game, but especially one that's having a bit of a content low at this time. But it was Nexon's CEO that said that they definitely didn't expect the game to blow up like it has. They didn't expect it to be this successful. He thought it was like a special game and that's why they acquired it, but it's had roughly double the amount of success that he apparently initially anticipated. So yeah, definitely thought it was going to be a success, but not this insane. And because of the success of Arc Raiders, Nexon is hoping to do more business with Western developers, publishing more teams of this nature. That it's essentially proof that a Western developer and Eastern publisher can work really well. But yeah, finally, just a little warning or heads up to you guys. There was, of course, yet another duplication glitch occurring with the new patch. People quickly found it and have been abusing the hell out of it, and the Impact team have already mentioned it and made a hotfix to address it, which didn't seem to work according to Reddit and other posts where people are still doing it. So maybe they put one fire out and there's a load of other ones still to deal with. They're acting quickly, they're telling us about it, which is good. But as a reminder, if you choose to do exploits of any kind, you should expect to catch a ban. I strongly recommend you avoid it, even if it's tempting. And if you choose to do any kind of exploit, you should expect a minimum of 30-day ban, which will scale to a 60 or permanent ban based on what you do. But let us know what you think about everything. How are you liking the new patch? Hopefully Expedition 2 is an exciting one. Until next time then, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.